It's Julia Renee.
And Kendall Aaliyah. Welcome back to the Know Your Power podcast.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Welcome back. We're a little late to the game on this topic, but that's because...
I'm so sad too, because when this first... Okay, granted, we've been traveling for the holidays and stuff, but they announced it and you sent it to me, and then we filmed the next day and just completely forgot. So, our bad.
We did, and it was literally on our outline to talk about it. Yeah. And then later that day, I was like, oh, crap. But I'm glad that we waited till today, because now we have all, like, everyone's opinions about it.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about why there's so much freaking tea about this new, like, fit model division. It's so crazy.
A lot of people got a lot of things to say.
So many things to say. So basically, Tyler Mannion came out with the video, and it's like, compared to all their other videos, it's like one of the most viewed and commented videos that they have on NPC News Online. And they have it go on YouTube, which we'll link it to the stories, and it was on Instagram. But I watched the whole thing, and basically they're coming out with a new women's division in the NPC in 2025, so this year. And they're going to wait until 2026 for it to be in the IFBB, which I feel like is a good idea, because considering how long it took them to nail down what the wellness look was, 4 years later, 5 years later, since it was announced in 2020, I'm like, okay, I feel like it might be kind of similar. Like, you know, if you see what wellness looked like back in 2020, when we were winning like pro cards and stuff, versus like what you're seeing now, it's like, and that's just bodybuilding. And I think that's why they came out with this division, because bodybuilding has a way of going away from what the original look was supposed to be.
It's also such an extreme sport where, like, if you have an idea, like, right, if you're the one behind the scenes, you're making the division, you're like, this is what we're looking for, and then these competitors exceed that and go into like an expectation you didn't even have or knew you could have, then the whole division changes, because you go, wow, we really like that look. That's the new standard. And that's what happens every year, especially with bikini.
Well, that's what happened with bikini. That's literally why we're here.
Yeah, because if it gets more muscular or more shredded or a certain look or a certain line, then every other competitor looks at that number one Olympian and goes, that's who we're replicating now. We're going for her shape.
That's the new standard.
Yeah. And then if that keeps evolving, even if it's by a little bit over time, and I'll let you go into like what they're looking for, but like even looking at Ashley Kaltwater, who he exemplified for this division,
that's what the first standard of bikini was supposed to look like.
And she looks so different now versus then, and both are amazing but very different.
It's crazy. And I went on Ashley's page because I was assuming that she posted about it, and we'll link it to the Instagram stories, but she did a side-by-side of what she looks like now versus that 2015 photo.
Yeah.
And we'll try to pop up like the two on the screen.
I'll add them.
But it is so crazy, because this is why they're making this new division, and the purpose of it is to create like a more entry level on the women's side of the divisions. And basically they want to have that look of Ashley Kaltwater back in 2015 when she won the Bikini Olympia. So they want to get, you know, more women into the division, and also make it to where the general population isn't intimidated or scared like to get into bodybuilding, because even now I feel like the bikini division isn't really an entry-level division anymore. You know, it's still something that's going to take years to build into, versus having this an actual entry level where it seems like, based off what he was saying, that they're creating these like barriers to try and keep it that way.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm also curious to see years down, I'm like, is this going to change? Like, is it going to, you never know.
I feel like it's actually inevitable that it will, at least a little bit. And we'll get into like our full opinions, I think, more when we talk about what other people are saying. But my initial thought was like, I started competing, like, as you guys know, as a teenager, and I wish there was a division like this. And some people are saying certain things like, oh, this means you don't have to work hard and blah, blah, blah.
Goodness.
And I want you guys to know I was doing more cardio for that prep than I've ever done in my whole life. And just because of my genetics and my age, that was my main restrictions at that time. I had already been in the gym for like over 5 years at that point. Cause I got into the gym very young. And then I was doing 2 hours of Stairmaster every single day. I was doing no carbs for months, and I still did not have the traditional bikini look because I was 17 and had baby girl genetics. Like it just happens where I'm really looking forward to younger competitors having a foot in the door without having to go to extremes or compare themselves to certain bikini competitors.
Yeah, like especially like just looking at like the standard for bikini now is Laura Lee. You know, just even looking at that, it's like
I don't think I could ever look like that.
You know, it's like, oh, this is scary. I really want to do this division, but am I ever going to be there? You know what I mean? How many years is it going to take for me to be at a certain level where I can actually step on stage? You know what I mean? So my first initial thought was, this is amazing.
Same.
And then I started seeing like what everybody else was saying. And I was like, why do you guys care so much? Damn.
That's the biggest thing is like, I kept reiterating, I only spoke on this topic once on an Instagram story because I was getting flooded with questions about it for like a Q&A box. And I was like, first off, none of us can form opinions until it's here.
Yeah.
We haven't even seen what it looks like. Of course, he used 2015 Ashley as an initial photo, but also if you look at the initial photos they sent out for wellness, we don't look like that now.
We don't look like that anymore. I mean, even in the initial photos for wellness, the front pose was that same one that Ashley Coldwater is doing.
And then it evolved into something completely.
Now it's not even where like you're doing the kind of staggered
I don't like that
hip
pose personally. It's uncomfortable.
I like it, but more of the power pose to where it's more dramatized. I do it in my routine.
You do it with a quad flare, which I love.
Yeah. And that one, it's supposed to be like just barely kind of hip poppy, but I just love it. And I was like not expecting everyone to be like, just have so many opinions about it, and I'm like literally,
especially because it's not here yet. We don't know. We have no clue what this is going to look like or how it may affect other divisions, because that's another initial thought I had was like, this allows bikini to grow into what bikini's been trying to grow into, and they keep trying to halt bikini and go, no, you can't get too much glutes, you can't get too much shoulder, because then you're looking like wellness. Well, if there's something in between, then they have more room to kind of go on either end of the spectrum. But it's not in between.
It's before bikini.
Yeah.
So it's bikini.
Bikini's going to finally be in between something.
Gotcha.
Because I feel like sometimes they halt muscularity in bikini. Even, of course, like the bikini look, they still have a lot of muscle mass, but it's very long, lean muscle.
Yeah.
And even then I've seen them place very slightly more muscular girls lower because I think they're afraid of changing that standard. But if there is an entry level position, it could affect bikini in a positive way and allow these muscular women to be muscular women instead of halting their progress.
Because what I know about one of my bikini friends, Kerrigan Pike, just from hearing her, and she's a bikini pro, just from hearing how she talks about how she has to do her prep, when people are like, oh, like the bikini division isn't even hard, when I'm like, do you know?
Yes, it is.
I'm like, just nailing down the look for these divisions, I feel like is one of the hardest things. Like, watching how her and her husband have had to like so finely tailor how her physique is looking through show to show, because they'll say this, one will say this, one will say this, and it's like, holy crap, no, you need to come in fuller, no, you were too shredded, no, and getting that like finely tuned thing, like that must be just a mind effort in itself, having to do that. And that's not even talking about the training that it takes to get there. So
or lack of training, having to stop training certain muscles,
and she's had to do that.
Yeah.
Which is insane. So like that's a challenge in itself. We're not even talking about what it takes just to have the physique and the training and all the diet, but basically what they're looking for is that Ashley Coldwater like 2015 look, where they want less muscle definition. They want there still to be the balance between the upper body and the lower body, not an hourglass shape. So the way that Kerrigan explained it to me is, with the bikini division and the fit model division, is they're looking for an X. So when you think about an X, it's, if you're just visualizing it, it's balanced versus say like a triangle. Yeah. And the triangle can be more of a triangle, to where the upper body is supposed to be smaller in comparison to the lower body. So they're still looking for that balance up and down, and the conditioning is going to be way less than bikini. They don't even want to see slight separation like in the glutes. They don't want to see like roundness or even like capped delts, no etched in midsections from the front, no visible tie-in. But they also want the glutes to be firm enough to where when they do the walk back to the stage, which that is always a show of holding onto water or carrying body fat, like we heard with the wellness when Fran walked to the back of the stage, and that's when they can tell that she was holding onto water. And with me just reading this, I'm like, so you're telling me that them having to hit all of these things perfectly isn't going to be hard? Maybe they don't have enough muscle, but getting shredded, but not too shredded, showing muscle in your glutes, but not too much. Like that balance that's so hard in itself. Like, and that's what gets me frustrated about people's comments that saying like, this isn't even like a division that's worth it. And I'm like, stop.
I remember seeing certain comments too about the wellness division when it was announced like this before we actually saw the competitors, where people were like, it's just going to be a higher body fat bikini. And then it is proven to be not even close to that as a requirement for
wellness.
Yeah. Because they were like, oh, it's just girls with like more body fat in their lower body. It's like, no, it's not. And that's very apparent now because we're seeing the shows where I think the same thing here. People hear like not having etched abs and thinking, oh, they're not going to be lean at all. But I don't think they understand like someone who hasn't been able to train their abs effectively for years sometimes can be sub 10 or like close to 10% body fat and still not have like a visible six pack because of genetic and like training history.
True. I'm one of those people where I literally only have abs like really close to show, where mine just don't like pop as much. If I wanted them to pop and be like more quote unquote blocky, I would just need to start training them, you know, with weights and stuff. So I think what is challenging just in the women's divisions, all of the women's divisions is this like balance of having to get everything down right. Yeah. And I feel like the next couple of years are really going to show us what this division looks like, because even with wellness, it came out in 2020 and they told us what the standard was and we saw it start changing, remember? Where they set the standard and then they're also trying to figure out what the standard is too. And then you have to hold the judges accountable to keeping that standard that was set in the rules.
Because I remember at certain like national shows, they were going for a softer look. And then you looked at the pros and they were all coming in really hard. So there was like nailing that too of like, how lean do I come in? Or like, how much do I have to fill up during peak week to like place well? And it was really hard. And I remember watching you do shows at that time being like, they wanted roundness and I came in round and then they told me they didn't want roundness.
I was also very, we were all very confused too, because they're learning. We're also trying to like learn as we go.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just inevitably what's going to happen until it's more established. Even with the wellness division, it was established and then it went way too far. Do you remember those couple of years where the girls were getting massive, like massive. And then some figure competitors were like, well, if they're going to be this, like, why can't I just go into the category, which they have every right to do.
I feel like this is the first year I started seeing them go back to a more petite upper body because I think they realized a lot of, it's hard to lose muscle mass once you have it. So I understand that takes time too. But a lot of like, larger upper bodies were being placed judging
for back, and then by them doing that, then it actually like reestablishes the standard that they first set. So that's what's going to happen. And like what I found really interesting is that with the posing and like the presentation is that the front pose is going to be like that, OG Ashley Caltwater pose where, they kind of have that little popped hip and it's like slightly tilted, and then the back pose is going to be the same as bikini. But the presentation, it literally says on the NPC website that you're going to walk to the center of the stage, you're going to stop, you're going to do that front pose, and you're going to do a full turnaround to the back. They don't want you to do any like...
Not even pause?
They don't want you to even do a transition.
Okay.
They don't want you to do a transition pose to get to the back pose. So it's literally front.
That seems hard.
I'm like, yeah, learning how to like get to the front to the back or the back to the front is one of the hardest posing things to learn.
Yeah.
Because you're completely turning around your body. And that's it. They said, and they don't want you to hit a transition pose. And that's 10 seconds. So when you do the finals and you go back for finals, that's when they'll have you like do the model walk, but that's going to be really quick.
Yeah.
Versus if you're doing quarter turns, like in a wellness division, you got to do all of them and they're next to each other and all of that. So,
what I found really interesting was the suit. It says no bling, solid colors. Is it like really no bling?
No, really. No, not even bling in the connectors.
That's the only thing that would bother me in this division is I love the bling. I feel like it might look weird on stage. They might change that one.
They might.
Yeah. But another thing is like looking at all these. So the suit says no bling, solid colors, no connectors, no ties on the side. So like basically like a posing suit.
Yeah.
The cut is moderate coverage, no pro cut or micro cut, which is what all of us kind of wear now.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that there's going to be more coverage in the butt area and the front area.
Yeah.
Because like the suits that I wear, like in the bikini,
like
they're a thong.
They have to glue it down.
Yeah, there's really tiny ones, and they've gotten tinier and tinier. So
that too, I feel like this, like in my head again, I'm just thinking of when I started at 17 years old. This would have been perfect because it is a little more modest. You're stepping on stage for the first time, and you're not up there as long as the other divisions.
Yeah.
And your posing is a little more simple. Like it all just seems so simplified for really entry level competitors and like first time competitors that I still am like a fan.
I know. And like, I love that you mentioned the thing about the posing, because when I'm like visualizing the posing for fit model versus like bikini and wellness can be very like sensual and it, the hands and the, all of the things. And I personally, there's some people that are like, it's over sexualized and stuff like that. In my head, I'm like, it will be if you make it.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, it will be. But they were also made it adamant in when they were talking about presentation to talk about how like they don't want any of that. It's going to be
like minimal. Yeah,
very minimal, to where I think that is great. Because if there are people, one of the hardest parts about stepping on stage is stepping on stage and how scary it is. And you're like, you're half naked on stage, like showing your hard work and stuff. Like it can be really intimidating. And I'm also thinking about like 17-year-old you. I'm like, oh, that would have been way better.
Yeah. You're telling me.
So yeah, I think that this division is awesome. And when people were asking me about it, a lot of the comments that I was seeing was like, this is so stupid. I'm sorry. This is one of the ones that was like the most common. And it was basically, I'm going to read this whole comment that I found. And it was, calling something entry level and giving it a pro card title is an oxymoron. It truly diminishes the elite status. Becoming an IFBB pro, if you can be entry level with no muscle definition and call yourself a pro bodybuilder, it makes bodybuilding seem insignificant or attainable by anybody. And something that truly requires a level of discipline and sacrifice most people will never commit to giving should not be handed out to somebody who is, quote unquote, just getting started. Keep fit model if you need more options for beginners, but do not give them a pro status.
I saw this too, not this exact comment, but when I had talked about it, I also gave like a little vote box of what are your thoughts. And a lot of the people that like actually reached out and messaged me, this was their reasoning why they weren't in full support of it was, oh, it shouldn't be an IFBB. Like make it just for the NPC at that point.
I mean, I guess that does make sense. That would make more sense for the first like couple years, I think. Like,
which again, they're not making it an immediate pro division.
Yeah, they're not, which is...
They're saying 2026. Yeah. 2026 might come. They might push it back again if it feels like it needs to. And also, again, we don't know what this looks like yet.
Yeah.
So, like, we really can't say these people don't deserve to be a pro. Why? Just because their genetics don't fit the traditional bikini look, which is why they went to this instead.
And it's like... I understand this side, and I can understand the thinking of like, well, if it is entry level, wouldn't we keep it at the entry level, because pro status is, you know, it's not entry level. That's years of work. I get that, but there's this tone that a lot of people are taking that really rubs me the wrong way. This other one is like, says this will grow the sport, but this is obviously a dude that's commenting that, but it'll grow the sport among the wrong people who aren't true bodybuilders and who just simply don't train and diet as hard as everyone else.
This category is just for influencers, not bodybuilders.
So this is where I got to get on my soapbox.
Yep.
And I talked about this on my story. Bodybuilders like to talk so much about how much they love bodybuilding and like what it's done for them, like physically and mentally, and they share their journey. They love to train and all of these benefits that it has on their life. But then they try to gatekeep bodybuilding. Mm-hmm.
The concept of new people joining disturbs them enough to comment.
You need to be here, and if you're not here, you're not allowed. Yeah. There's this attitude with a lot of the comments where they're like gatekeeping the sport from anybody else if they don't meet their standard that they have for bodybuilding.
And if you are a new competitor and you see those comments or you hear those things,
like, they don't want me to be here.
Exactly. Like you want to. It's like any other sport. You don't go to like a pickup basketball thing and like, you guys aren't on the pro level. You suck.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's also fun for some people. I've always competed because it's fun for me. Mm-hmm. I don't do it because I want to be the most muscular person in the entire world. I do it because I love the act of training and developing a physique that I really love and challenging myself. Like that is the point of bodybuilding, not you have to have a certain level of muscle mass or like diet a certain way.
Yes.
Like I've seen that too. Like I know some people make their whole personality, respectfully, like I had to go this long without carbs this prep, and it's like
so did a lot of people. Yeah, you're not special.
That's what prepping is, and you're assuming that these people aren't going to train or diet as hard as you once did, so therefore they're not worthy of stepping on stage.
Exactly. There's this. It's a very. It's in my head, it's like a very old school way of thinking for bodybuilding where it's like, if you don't do this, it's not us. It's basically like a who works the hardest is the one that can call themselves a bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And we've talked about similar things to this before where I think this is so great. And a lot of my clients are really excited about it who are just getting into training. And we've been having conversations about it because now the people, like there might be people that want the experience of being on stage and pushing their body to a limit and getting to a physique that they've never been able to get to before. And maybe they don't want to take it to a pro level. Not everybody wants that. That's not everybody's goal.
That too, like I've always loved competing.
Going on stage.
Yeah. I was like, I like stepping on stage to step on stage, and like, would a pro card be cool? Yeah. But that wasn't like, I never set out being like, I'm going to step on the Olympian stage. That was never even a goal of mine with competing.
That was never mine either.
It was truly just about the journey. Yeah. And then like, yeah, it's one of those things like, oh, you got to that level.
It's like, okay, cool.
Mine as well. Like now that's the new goal because you've already achieved what you thought you couldn't achieve before. But how do you know if you've never stepped on a stage?
Yes. And this can give so many people that opportunity to experience all of the benefits that we have from being bodybuilders and committing to something and pushing past our perceived limits. It can give everybody that opportunity to experience that, whether they want to take it further or not. So I think that this is great and I love it. And I think people need to chill out. It's like, let's just see, like you're saying, like, let's see.
One more comment, again, just an assumption because we haven't seen this division yet. A lot of people are going into natural federations as well because they don't want to feel or actually do take anything to enhance them. So I think this is also a great opportunity for those people to feel like they can still fit into the NPC. And not saying that like everyone is taking stuff because I know that's absolutely not the case, especially for bikini competitors. But at the same time, like if your genetics aren't allowing you to fit into a certain role, sometimes you feel this pressure of, oh, I need to take something or do something to go that extra mile. And that is scary and not healthy for a lot of people or not ideal for a lot of people. And now there's a division where those people feel comfortable competing in the NPC. Maybe they've been in natural federations this whole time because they felt like they couldn't push that bikini look. And now they have an entry.
Can get into the NPC and the IFBB.
So I feel like it also opens the door for those natural competitors as well.
I agree. And I think too that the NPC and IFBB, I think they have kind of like this, they're top tier. You know what I mean? Like there is a lot of people that want to be in the IFBB or the NPC. So I think that then by adding this division, it gives them the opportunity to go into this amazing organization if they want to. And they're also adding a lot more natural shows within the NPC throughout this year.
Yeah.
And that's something that they haven't done in a long time. So I think that that's great. I think people just let's see, chill out.
Chill out.
It's not that serious. Like,
and remember the impact you have on the people who were considering going into this and excited for this. And what if they come across your video where you're just like bashing it before they've even started?
Yes.
Like, let's just remember you were a beginner once too. Also with the new year, I'm going to go on a little spiel for a second. It's okay that beginners are back in the gym. It's totally okay.
Oh God.
Don't get mad at them for taking up your gym space because you signed up the same way they signed up. And maybe you've just been there longer.
You can't gatekeep the gym anyways.
Or bodybuilding.
If you truly are somebody that you love the benefits that either bodybuilding has given you, like to your life and the gym, you wouldn't be the person trying to gatekeep it from everybody else.
Exactly.
They can experience the amazing things that you have experienced too. And it doesn't have to look like yours. It can look completely different. You know, I mean, I was that girl that would recommit and I go back with the new year and go to the gym. And yes, I felt out of place. Yes, I felt uncomfortable, you know? And if there was somebody that was ever like, well, you weren't here last month, so you're not a real gym bro. It's like, shut up, bro.
Everyone has their own journey.
Everyone can start.
Yep.
Same thing with bodybuilding. Like the only reason that I have, not the only, one of the biggest reasons that I have been able to go from never competing to winning my first 2 shows, becoming an IFBB pro, then being able to place top 5 in a pro show is because there was people around me that let me in to the bodybuilding industry. And not that they were the people that needed to let me in, but they encouraged me. They supported me. They gave me tips. They told me what to do, what not to do. And because of those people's kindness, it has brought me to where I am right now.
Yeah.
So chill.
Chill. Be nice to people.
Yeah.
And let's see how this division goes. Maybe we'll sit down and talk about it once
I can't
we've
wait
actually
to
seen
see.
it.
We need to do like an episode, like when they start doing the judging for the first show and really see. That would be cool. But because it's going to happen this year.
I feel like it's going to be a bunch of badass women. I don't know. I feel like the assumptions are very like dismissive, and I feel like there's going to be more shape and muscle mass imposing than we think.
One thing that someone commented that I thought was an awesome idea, they were like, we need this for the men's divisions. So just like the women's, like the men's divisions, even like men's physique. It started off looking a certain way.
And now those guys are huge.
They look like Doritos. And
they're
so
giant.
they said, we need this for the men's division.
I agree.
And Greg Doucette has been saying this for such a long time too about the men's divisions, that they need one that is like more of the entry level. Like I look good like on a beach. I'm not 3% body fat. You know what I'm saying?
Both bikini and men's physique started as like a model. They wanted who's going to be on the cover of a fitness magazine. And now it's shifted so far into like being so lean and so muscular that now I feel like they're just like reintroducing that, like, who just looks fit and healthy and happy.
They're basically just reintroducing the bikini category.
That's why they used
because
Ashley.
of what it was back then.
Yeah.
But now it seems like the way that they're talking about it, that they're going to try and keep it what they intended to do.
Well, bikini being, that's what I was trying to like explain before. Bikini already being a thing and established allows this new division to be what it was maybe supposed to be in the beginning.
True. Which
I agree for men too. Like my brother, I've been showing you his progress in his fitness journey. He like kind of wants to step on stage, and we've been talking about it behind closed doors, and he's like, I feel like I would have to do a natural show because I am just not as big as these dudes, and I don't want to take anything. And I'm like,
that's
I wish.
why, like, I recommended the summer the summer shredding shows to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I was nervous of stepping on stage because I was seeing these pros and these Olympians with these crazy physiques. And that's why I love summer shredding, because it was an entry level to dip your toe to see if you like it, and you maybe didn't have to be as muscular or as shredded. And So I love that the NPC is doing this, and your brother totally should.
Yeah, he
especially
should.
like even if like what if they came out with the men's division
It would be
version of
perfect.
this? It would be perfect.
Yeah, because he has been training for so long and gone through different stages with like powerlifting and now going into bodybuilding, and he's lost a ton of weight, and with that, like his muscle isn't gonna look the same way as like a teenager who has super high testosterone, who's like physiques are just different. And I think it's good to be somewhat inclusive and still obviously like make it like you have to train hard to be here. But still, you don't have to like alter your genetics to be here.
Yes. Or to diet. Like you still have to diet. Like if you look at Ashley's physique, like she was
winning for a reason.
She was still like shredded. Yeah. She just wasn't like shredded to the bone where you literally see where your glute ties to your hamstring. Yeah. You're basically a skeleton on stage. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, honestly. And that's like a physique that's more healthy to walk. Like
exactly.
It's still going to be hard to walk around like that, you know, because you still have to eat a little less, but you can walk around like that and not feel like you're going to die, which is how I feel.
Which Ashley's like a outlier because she stays lean year round. She's insane.
I don't even want to talk about it. No.
But yes, still true.
So jelly, but she's awesome. She's an OG.
She is. I love her.
Let us know y'all's comments down below. Be nice. Just remember too that like everyone deserves to experience the sport, to be in the gym, to start again, to start fresh. And
if you don't like the division, ignore it. That's totally okay. You don't have to speak bad on it.
Yeah. Let's just see how it plays out. Come on.
I'm excited to see it.
I'm really pumped. I'm like, can I do it?
No, you cannot.
I was like, I want to try different poses. I don't know. Okay, fine. All right, guys. We love you all so much, and you're more powerful than you think.
Bye.